David Quillen. I'm the Deputy Chief with the Kingsport Police Department, and we just wanted to come back and do another segment and revisit the issue of the red light cameras. As everyone is probably aware, we installed those cameras about 4 months ago here in Kingsport, and we feel like the system is working very well. And there have been some questions and some issues that have came up over the last few months since the cameras were installed. And so one of the things we want to try to do today is try to answer some of those questions and clarify any issues that that may be lingering. One of the things that I wanted to do was talk about why we put the cameras in to begin with. I'll give you a little bit of historical data. Over the last 10 years, the police department has investigated over 36,000 traffic crashes here in the city limits. Over 9,000 injuries have resulted in those crashes. And as a response to those numbers over the last 2 or 3 years, the police department has really stepped up our efforts to try to reduce the number of crashes, to try to reduce the number of injuries. And we begin to do that with what we call the 3 E's: education, enforcement, and engineering. And we feel like our efforts in those areas have certainly worked, and we've seen a reduction in the numbers. And this is just another way that we can further enhance what we've been doing. As the numbers have come down, we still have received complaints, through a period of time from citizens who complain about people going through traffic lights when the lights are red. And most of those complaints were occurring at intersections where there's a lot of traffic, a lot of congestion, and so forth. So that's began us to look at the implementation of red light cameras. A common question that has been asked, and it's a good question, why not just hire more police officers? Well, what I think is important to know, and important for the citizens to know, that police operations and police administration, we always have new challenges and new things to deal with, and there's new challenges in front of us today. We have issues such as homeland security, we have methamphetamine labs, and there's many other emerging service requirements that require our attention. And at the same time, traditional crime and service workloads, they're not going away. So the need for additional police officers and police resources, at the same time we have to compete with the school systems, with street maintenance, and other governmental needs. And all of those things are vitally important. And so what this has caused us to do, it necessitates us to look at other ways that we can further enhance what we're doing, and look at technology to see if that would enhance and would help us. And as a result of our search for technology, we began to look at the implementation of red light cameras. And so the ideal was began probably a couple years ago, and a lot of research was done by the staff. And beginning in April of this year, the red light cameras first went live here in Kingsport. Now, one of the issues that comes up, and I'll address it first, is the City of Kingsport was just doing this to increase revenue and make money. That is absolutely not true. The main focus, the number one concern for us at the police department, was to reduce crashes, reduce the number of injuries, and make the city roadways safer. And we feel like we've done that. So how's the system working? Are the roads any safer? We think so, and here's why. When we first turned the cameras on, the first week of April, there was on average about 1,200 violations detected that first week, and in the weeks following that. This past week, that number was down to a little less than 600. So the number of violations detected since the cameras were installed has been reduced by 50%. Now, I think what's important is you can also interpret that, I think, as there's a 50% less chance that you would be struck by someone running a red light. And I think it's also probably a fairly accurate statement that had we not installed these cameras, that there's no reason to believe that we would still, on average, have approximately 1,200 people running these red lights, and that's just at the intersections that we currently monitor. And I think through my own personal observation and talking to other police officers at the police department and other members of city staff and members of the community, I've had many people talk about the fact through their own observation that they see people slowing down when they approach an intersection and being more cautious, being more aware of what is going on around them. And I think that's a good sign. That's what we were after to begin with, to modify driver behavior and make the motoring public a little bit more aware of what's going on around them. And also I wanted to talk about a couple questions that have came up. Actually, what is a violation and what is not a violation? I think there's a misconception out there that if you're driving a vehicle and the light turns red while you're under it, you receive a violation, a ticket. That is not the case. If you are driving and you go through a traffic light when it turns yellow, that is a violation. That's not true. The light has to be red before you cross the stop bar in order for a violation to be detected and a ticket to be issued. One of the other things that has been brought up, and that was a misconception, that the amount of time that the traffic light, the caution light is on, the yellow light is on, that we lowered that amount of time, we reduced that amount of time when we install these cameras. Well, that's absolutely not true. That has not changed. That will not change.
As you can see, when the vehicle stops back prior to the stop bar, at this point, if the light changes red at this point and the vehicle continues through, that is a traffic light violation. However, if the vehicle is already across the stop bar and has already entered the intersection when the light changes red, the driver's got an obligation to go ahead and clear the intersection. With the vehicle at this point like this, when the light changes red, that is not a traffic light violation.
At this time, what we're going to do is we're going to go to down to the police department, and an officer is actually going to walk you through the process of how the tickets are reviewed, how the information is verified, and how the determination is made there at the police department, whether or not there was a violation, there was not a violation, that type of thing. And we're going to take a look at that so that hopefully you will have a better understanding of how that works.
The police department has officers that's dedicated who has to go back and review each and every violation to see if it was a violation, if there was some reason other than not stopping for the traffic light, whether it be an emergency or whatever happens. The first thing to do, the screen you see up here now shows a picture of the vehicle, the location of the vehicle, how long it had been in, the light had been red prior to entering the intersection. We also, what we do is check the tag registration, make sure the one in the photograph matches the information we get when we run the tag. After that happens, we review the citation, we review the video. Each of the citations has a video with it. We watch it to make sure that it is a valid violation, and if it is a violation, at that point, a police officer will issue the citation. Okay, the video of the violations, you can see the intersection. The traffic signal is yellow, the light is red, the white car continues through the intersection. Just a little over a second after the light had changed red, that would constitute a violation of the traffic light law.
All right, one additional question that I would like to address is the amount of the ticket. And the amount of the ticket is $100. Now that's broke down into two parts. The amount of the fine is $50. The amount of court cost, which automatically attaches to the ticket, is $50. So there's a total of $100 for that ticket. And that can be mailed in, that can be paid at the police department, or it can be paid online. So again, I hope we have answered all the questions. I've tried to answer all the questions that have been posed to me over the last few months regarding this system. Again, I want to stress that the idea to implement this system was all about safety from the very beginning. It still is. We feel like, based upon the information that we have at this time, that the system's working. Anytime you can go from approximately 1,200 violations in 1 week, and you can reduce that by 50%, I think that speaks volumes as to the success of the system. And we hope those numbers are going to come down a little bit more. I don't know that they will. I hope they will. Right now we are pleased with the system. We feel like it's been a success. We feel like it's going to only increase and help in our efforts to reduce the number of crashes and to reduce the number of injuries. And we appreciate you taking time to join us this afternoon. And again, hopefully I've answered all the questions. Thank you.